Right now, as you read this, millions of men are dying inside, destroyed by the same wound that probably brought you here. Betrayal. The final blow. The devastating discovery that shatters not just your relationship, but your entire identity as a man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That cold dread crawling down your spine when you found out. Your stomach churning, your hands trembling, holding the phone with the proof. The world collapsing in slow motion as your brain processed the unthinkable. She, the woman you loved, who you protected, who you put on a pedestal, had destroyed everything. And the worst part, deep down, way deep down, a voice whispered, "You knew this was going to happen." Society says betrayal is an isolated act of malice, something unpredictable, beyond your control. But the brutal truth is, you allowed it. You created the perfect environment for it to happen. And the worst part? You're going to do it again if you don't wake up now. This is exactly you. Let me tell you about Luke, a 32-year-old engineer, successful, confident at work, destroyed at home. His girlfriend had this peculiar habit. At parties, she would flirt, openly, right, in front of him. She'd touch other men's arms while laughing, lean her body in when she talked, bite her lower lip while looking into their eyes. Luke saw everything. His stomach twisted, but he swallowed it. "It's just her way," he repeated to himself. "I don't want to be the jealous, controlling boyfriend." The first time was at his best friend's birthday. She wore that red dress he loved, but she wasn't wearing it for him. During the party, she spent more time talking to Rick, a guy they barely knew, than with Luke. When Rick told a joke, she'd throw her head back and laugh too loudly. She'd touch his arm, saying, "Stop it," between giggles. Luke watched from across the room, holding his beer so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Honey, should we go?" he tried. "Already? The party's so good. Don't be a bore." A bore. She called him a bore in front of everyone for wanting his own girlfriend's attention. He swallowed it, smiled, stayed, watched her dance with Rick when that slow song came on. "It's just a dance," he told himself. "I trust her." 6 months later, she was in bed with the co-worker she met at one of those parties. Luke found out from messages on her phone, messages that started at that party where he decided not to be jealous. The messages were explicit, detailed. They always started the same way. "It was so good meeting you at that party. Luke didn't even notice our connection. Every word was a stab. Every emoji was a humiliation." She described what she was doing with the other guy, while Luke worked late to pay for the apartment they shared, to build the future they planned, to be the ideal man she claimed to want. The end. You're probably one of them. And now comes the part that will truly destroy you. The betrayal didn't start when she slept with someone else. It started the exact moment you failed the first test, when you didn't set the boundary, when you gave in, when you signaled that your limits were negotiable, when you showed you were too weak to protect your own emotional territory. I'll be more specific. Remember that time she came home at 3 a.m. without a word? You were awake, worried, imagining the worst. When she finally showed up, drunk, laughing, saying she lost track of time. What did you do? Did you fight? Did you set consequences? No. You put her to bed, made her some tea, and the next day, you pretended nothing happened. You just taught her she can do whatever she wants without consequences. Or that time she went to lunch with her ex just to talk, and you found out it turned into dinner, and that dinner turned into drinks, and that she only told you because your mutual friend saw them and might tell you. You believed her when she said nothing happened and that she forgot to mention the change of plans. You validated the lie. You approved the disrespect. Every relationship is a relational chess game. Every move counts. Every decision reveals your strategy. And you? You played without any strategy. You left your valuable pieces unprotected. You ignored your opponent's moves and you lost everything. You know I'm right. The system doesn't want you to know this. Couples therapy will tell you to work on communication. The media will say relationships are hard work. Your friends will tell you to give her a second chance. Lies. All lies designed to keep you weak, submissive, accepting crumbs of respect while she tests how far she can go. Your own friends, those you consider brothers, will sabotage you. Dude, relax. She was just having fun. You're being paranoid. That's just how women are. Every piece of advice is poison disguised as wisdom. They don't want what's best for you. They want you to stay at the same level of mediocrity as them, because your success exposes their failure, your strength reveals their weakness. No one tells you the truth about how the female mind works in the context of relational power. No one explains that. She is constantly testing your strength, not consciously, not maliciously, biologically, evolutionarily. She needs to know if you are strong enough to protect offspring, to lead, to not break under pressure. And you? You broke at the first test. The tests start small, microscopic. She takes a long time to reply to your messages. You send another, and another, and another. Test failed. She cancels last-minute plans to go out with friends. You accept and even say, "Have fun." Test failed. She mentions how hot her gym trainer is. You laugh nervously and change the subject. Test failed. Each failure is a brick removed from the foundation of respect, until nothing is left but contempt. You give in, she tests more. You give in again. She loses respect. You beg. She despises you. You accept. She controls you. It's over. Lie. Some will rationalize by saying, "But my situation is different, she has family problems." And that's exactly why you remain trapped. External problems do not justify a breach of trust. You can be empathetic and still maintain your integrity, but you choose to be an emotional doormat. Let me tell you about her family problems, the absent father who justifies her seeking validation from other men, the controlling mother who explains why she compulsively lies, the childhood trauma that excuses every emotional manipulation. You accepted becoming an unpaid therapist, an on-call psychologist, a savior of a broken woman, and while you were trying to fix her, she was breaking you, piece by piece, until nothing was left but a hollow man begging for crumbs of affection. The pattern detector. This is the first weapon in your arsenal that you never learned to use. It's the ability to identify recurring behaviors that indicate future risk. Does she always forget to tell you about important commitments? It's not forgetfulness, it's a test. She's measuring how much you value your own time, and when you accept it without consequences, you fail. Always. The result? She knows she can do worse, and she will. Look at the phone pattern. At the beginning of the relationship, you shared everything. Passwords, photos, messages, natural, transparent. Then gradually, she started turning her screen away when messages arrived. It's just work. Then she put a password on her phone. Privacy is important. Then she started taking her phone to the bathroom. I like watching videos. Each escalation was a sign. You ignored them all. When you finally discovered the betrayal, you wondered, how did I not see this coming? You saw it. You chose not to see. You're thinking, this is paranoia. I can't live distrusting. But that's exactly what every victim thinks before being destroyed. The wall of boundaries. Second tactic on the relational battlefield. Establishing clear barriers about what is acceptable and unacceptable. I don't accept lies, no matter how small. If it happens, trust is broken. Simple, direct, non-negotiable. But you? You accept the little lie about where she was. You accept the omission, about who she went out with. You accept the half-truth about the ex who is just a friend now. Each acceptance is a bomb in your territory of respect, and when it explodes, you'll wonder how you got to this point. I'll give you a practical example of how to truly set a boundary. She wants to go out with friends to a club. Perfect. No problem at all. The boundary isn't about going out. It's about behavior. Go and have fun. But if I find out you lied about anything tonight, where you went, who you were with, what you did, it's over. No discussion, no second chances. Clear, direct, consequential. But you say, have fun, honey, while dying of anxiety. You spend the night awake checking her Instagram, looking at her friends' stories for clues, messaging every hour, is everything okay? She takes a long time to reply. You freak out. When she finally gets home, you pretend you slept all night. Pathetic. The truth they hide from you is simple. She knows exactly what she's doing. The mirror test. Third fortified position in the psychological warfare of relationships. You ask her not to touch your phone, not because you have something to hide, to test integrity, and then you observe. Does she respect it when you're not around? Or does she invade as soon as she has an opportunity? If she invades, you have your answer about her character, but you ignore it. You rationalize. She was just curious. No, she was showing you who she really is, and you chose not to see. This isn't love. It's chemical dependency. Your brain addicted to dopamine that she provides in calculated doses, like a dealer who knows exactly how much to give to keep you hooked but never satisfied. She gives you enough attention so you don't leave, but never enough for you to feel secure. It's biochemical manipulation, and you're the lab rat pressing the lever waiting for the next dose. Peter, 40, a successful lawyer, discovered compromising messages from his wife, confronted her. She cried, begged, promised to change. He forgave her, without establishing a recovery protocol, without real consequences, just let's forget it and move on. 3 years later, he lives in constant paranoia. He secretly checks her phone, questions every outing, feels like a second option in his own home. The distrust corroded everything. He lost his identity trying to save a marriage that was already dead. The protocol Peter should have established was crystal clear. Total transparency for an indefinite period, shared passwords, location always active, individual therapy for her to understand why she cheated, complete cutoff from the person she cheated with, and anyone who facilitated it. No alcohol in social situations for 6 months. Does it seem extreme? It's the bare minimum. And even then, the chances of it working are minimal, because betrayal reveals character, and character doesn't change with promises. Peter now takes anti-anxiety medication to sleep, developed heart problems from constant stress, lost 2 important cases at work due to lack of focus. His children noticed the tension and started having problems at school, all because he chose to forgive and forget instead of acting with strength and decision. The marriage he tried to save destroyed his entire life, and you're going to do nothing. The strategy of selective scarcity, fourth front line in the battle for your dignity. Your time has value. Your attention is precious ammunition. But you're always available, always ready to solve her problems, always canceling your plans to accommodate hers. You've become a guaranteed resource, abundant, disposable. When something is abundant, it loses value. You lost your value, and now you wonder why she doesn't respect you. Scarcity must be surgical, strategic. It's not about childish games of taking a long time to reply to messages. It's about clear priorities. Your mission comes first, your purpose, your self-improvement. She is a complement, not the center. When she realizes you have a full life without her, that you don't need her to be complete, the game changes. She stops testing because she knows you can leave at any moment. And paradoxically, that makes her want to stay. But you did the opposite. You quit the gym to spend more time with her. You stopped going out with friends because she felt lonely. You gave up that course you wanted to take because it conflicted with her plans. You dissolved into the relationship. You became an appendage, a shadow. And shadows don't command respect. Wait, it gets worse. The rule of natural consequence. 5th offensive in your non-existent arsenal. She's late for your important event. You go without her. She lies about something small. Trust visibly diminishes. She disrespects a boundary. The relationship cools proportionally. Natural consequences. Automatic. No drama, no arguments. Just cause and effect. But you rescue her. Always rescue her. You remove the consequences. And you teach her that your words have no weight whatsoever. Real example. She promised to go to your mother's birthday dinner. On the day, she invented a headache. You went alone, made up an excuse, absorbed the embarrassment. The consequence you should have applied. You disrespected my family. This made me rethink our future together. I need time to process this. And then distance yourself, calculated coldness, measured distance. She needs to feel the real weight of her choices. But you brought her soup and even apologized for having to go to dinner. The system doesn't want you to know that power in a relationship is zero-sum. When you lose, she gains. When you give in, she advances. When you submit, she dominates. The self-worth calibration. 6th position in the devastated territory of your self-esteem. Maintain a realistic perception of your own value, not tied to her approval. Independent, autonomous, unshakable. But you beg for attention. You send message after message when she doesn't reply. You despair when she pulls away. You negotiate your principles for crumbs of affection. You've become an emotional beggar, and beggars don't choose what they receive. I'll show you how you destroyed your own value. In the beginning, she sought you out, called to ask about your day, planned dates, made surprises. Then you got comfortable. You stopped taking care of yourself, gained weight, lost ambition, became predictable, boring, routine. Meanwhile, she continued to develop gym, courses, new friendships, growth. You stagnated while she evolved, and you wonder why she lost interest. You became the generic version of yourself, replaceable, disposable. Gabriel was 27, a talented developer, got involved with a mysterious woman. She would disappear for days, without explanation, reappear with vague stories. Needed some time, was dealing with things. He accepted it. Vote of confidence, he called it. He was in love. 6 months later, he discovered the truth. She was in another relationship, serious, official. He was just the side entertainment, the useful idiot who filled the gaps when the main boyfriend was busy. Gabriel found out through a Facebook photo. She was tagged at a wedding as another guy's girlfriend. 6 months of relationship with Gabriel, 2 years with the other guy. When confronted, she didn't deny it. You never asked if I had a boyfriend. Technically true. He assumed exclusivity without establishing it, assumed commitment without confirming it. He lived a fantasy while she lived reality. Gabriel developed severe depression, spent a year in therapy, still has trouble trusting. The cruelest part? All her friends knew. At the parties they went to together, everyone knew Gabriel was the side guy. They laughed behind his back, made bets on when he would find out. She took him to places where she knew he wouldn't run into her official boyfriend, calculated times, lied about commitments. And Gabriel? Gabriel believed everything because love is trust. You're trapped and you don't even realize it. The active selection filter, 7th and final wall before total collapse. Choose partners based on aligned values and behaviors, not just attraction, not just chemistry, values, consistency, character. But you see a pretty face and ignore the obvious red flags. She treats the waiter badly? She just had a bad day. Talks badly about all her exes. They were the problematic ones. Doesn't have female friends. Women are just complicated. Every rationalization is a nail in the coffin of your future suffering. The red flags you consciously ignore are criminal. Does she have a history of cheating? It'll be different with me. Does she maintain intimate contact with several exes? She's mature and well-adjusted. Does she disappear on weekends and offer no explanation? She needs space. Does she flirt with others in front of you? She's naturally friendly. Every excuse you create is a step towards the abyss, and you march, singing. You think this is bad. You haven't seen anything yet. The obsessive detective. First mistake of destroyed men, you invade privacy. Check phones, stalk social media. Become a private investigator of your own misery. Consequence? You destroy what little trust remains. You create an environment of paranoia. You validate her dishonesty. If he's going to snoop anyway, why not hide it better? You feed the very behavior you fear. The obsession starts subtly. You notice she's online but hasn't replied to your message. You check again. Still online. Your chest tightens. Who is she talking to? You open Instagram. You see she liked a guy's photo. Who is he? You click on the profile. Investigate. You see he liked several of her photos. Panic. You scroll further. Comments, interactions. You create theories, connections, conspiracies. 3 hours later, you're sweating, trembling, creating imaginary confrontations. She finally replies, "I was busy, honey." You pretend to believe her, but the spiral has already begun. No one tells you this. The human doormat. Second fatal mistake. Forgiving without clear consequences. Accepting empty excuses. Downplaying the severity. It was just once. She was drunk. It didn't mean anything. Every accepted excuse is permission for the next betrayal. You reinforce that boundaries can be violated with impunity. You train her to disrespect you. Why would she respect you? You don't respect yourself. How could she? It's impossible. Literally impossible. You asked for this, begged for it, and received it. The perpetual victim. Third, emotional suicide, focusing only on the pain, on the injustice, on how much you were wronged, without seeking learning, without finding your agency. Consequence, total paralysis, chronic resentment, inability to move forward. You become an emotional mummy, preserved in a formaldehyde of resentment, a relational zombie. You tell the story to everyone who will listen. At the bar, at work, to your family. Always you as the suffering hero, her as the cruel villain, but never your participation, never your mistakes, never your responsibility. You became addicted to the victim identity. It's more comfortable than admitting you failed as a man, that you allowed it, that you created the conditions. So you prefer to die a victim than live responsibly. This is exactly you. Impulsive retaliation. Fourth, guaranteed self-destruction, seeking revenge, exposing her publicly, acting with blind rage, sending screenshots to her family, telling her boss, destroying her reputation. Consequence? Extreme emotional exhaustion, damage to your own reputation, possible legal consequences. You become the villain of the story. She becomes the victim. A complete inversion of reality. There's Charles's case, an executive, discovered. His fiancée's betrayal 2 weeks before the wedding. He went blind with rage, sent the proof to all her contacts on WhatsApp, family, friends, work, posted on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, exposed intimate conversations, private photos, destroyed her publicly. Result? Lawsuit for emotional distress, restraining order, fired from his job for inappropriate conduct. She played the victim of an abusive relationship, gained everyone's support. Charles lost everything, friends, job, dignity, all for 5 minutes of vengeful satisfaction. Some will say, this is victim blaming, but that's exactly what every weak man says, to avoid responsibility. It's not about blame for the betrayal. It's about your agency in creating or allowing the environment. It's about your power to change. It's about waking up. Post-betrayal idealization. Fifth and most pathetic, surrender. Remembering only the good times, ignoring the signs that were always there, rewriting history. We were perfect before this. No, you never were. You just chose not to see. Consequence. You repeat it, always repeat it, with the next one, and the next one, and the next one. You keep the photos. Reread old messages. Romanticize the beginning. She was different back then. Lie. She was always exactly who she showed herself to be in the end. You painted her with colors that didn't exist, projected imaginary virtues, created a fictional woman in your mind, and fell in love with your own creation. The real one was always exactly who betrayed you. You just found out too late. You're dying and you don't even realize it. Betrayal is often a symptom of underlying relationship problems. Studies show this. Therapists confirm it. But the main underlying problem? You. Your weakness. Your lack of boundaries. Your absence of strategy. A weak man explains, a strong man acts, a desperate man begs. A man of value leaves. A submissive man accepts. A respected man imposes consequences. I'll tell you about another case. Richard, 35, an entrepreneur, discovered his fiancée had a Tinder profile, active, with matches, conversations, dates scheduled. When confronted, she said it was just to boost her self-esteem, that she never met anyone in person, that everyone does it nowadays. Richard had two choices: accept the humiliation or act. He chose the third option, pretend to accept while dying inside. They got married 6 months later. Today, he lives obsessively checking her phone, installed tracking apps, became the jailer of his own prison. The legal system won't help you. It will favor her in most cases. Division of assets, alimony, custody, everything structured to protect her, not you. Couples therapy will tell you to work on it together, as if betrayal were a team project. The media will romanticize forgiveness. Love conquers all. Lie. Love without respect is emotional slavery. The truth they hide. You are alone in this battle, but you don't have to be defeated. There is a path. Painful, difficult, but it exists. And it starts with admitting the most brutal truth of all. You chose this, not consciously, but Through thousands of micro-decisions, every time you gave in when you should have stood firm, every time you accepted the unacceptable, every time you negotiated the non-negotiable. So what do? First action, cold analysis. Reconstruct the timeline, every ignored red flag, every failed test, every moment where you gave in when you should have stood firm, not to torture yourself, to learn, to never be caught off guard again, to identify the patterns you allowed. Grab a piece of paper now, divide it into 3 columns. First, what she did. Second, how you reacted. Third, how you should have reacted. Be brutal, honest, without romanticization. You'll discover that the problem started much earlier than you imagine, in the first few months, maybe in the first few weeks, when you accepted the first disrespect and called it love. You're thinking, but I love her, I can't be so cold. And that's why you'll suffer again. Second action, define non-negotiable boundaries. A clear list, no ambiguity. Lying, unacceptable. Public disrespect, line crossed. Secrets about dates. Breach of trust, write it down, memorize it, internalize it. These are your walls, your fortress, your sacred territory. But boundaries without consequences are suggestions. You need to define exactly what happens when a boundary is crossed, not empty threats, concrete actions. She lies, you distance yourself for 3 days, no contact, no explanation other than, you know what you did. She disrespects you publicly, you leave the situation immediately, no drama, no discussion, just leave. She learns through consequences, not words. This isn't love you feel, it's dependency. Third action, communicate clearly and calmly, without anger, without accusation, just facts. This is unacceptable to me. This is my expectation. This is the consequence. She will test you. They always do. It's when you hold your ground that respect begins to be built. Communication must be surgical, without emotion, without drama. When you do X, I feel Y, so I will do Z. Done. She will try to drag you into an emotional discussion. Don't go there. She will cry. Don't give in. She will threaten to break up. Accept it. If she breaks up because you have boundaries, she did you a favor. She revealed that she would never respect you anyway. But you will give in. I know you will. Fourth action. Apply consistent consequences. She crosses the boundary. Immediate consequence. No negotiation. No, it's okay this time. No, she didn't mean it. Consistency is everything. That's how you train respect. That's how you protect your value. That's how you stop being an idiot. Consistency is what separates men from boys. Boys threaten and don't follow through. Men act. Boys yell and forgive. Men apply consequences in silence. Boys beg for change. Men make it inevitable through consistent actions. The choice is yours. Fifth action, reevaluate the relationship. Brutal, honest, without romanticization. Is she willing to respect your boundaries? Does she demonstrate it with actions, not words? Does she show real change, not empty promises? If not, you know what to do, but you won't do it, because you are weak. The reevaluation must be mathematical, not emotional. Take the last 3 months. How many times did she respect your boundaries versus how many times did she violate them? How many promises did she keep versus how many did she break? How many times did she prioritize the relationship versus how many times did she prioritize other things? Numbers don't lie. Emotions do. You know I'm right. What if you lose her? What if she doesn't accept your boundaries and leaves? Then you lost nothing. You freed yourself from someone who would never respect you. It's natural selection. The weak attract predators. The strong attract partners. I'll tell you what happened to Andrew, 29 years old, a designer. He applied all of this. He set boundaries, communicated clearly, applied consequences. You know what happened? She left, said he had changed, that he had become controlling, that he wasn't the man she met anymore. 3 months later, she was begging to come back. Why? Because she discovered that out there aren't many men with clear boundaries, that most are exactly like Andrew used. To be weak, without boundaries, disposable. Andrew didn't take her back. Today he is with a woman who naturally respects his boundaries, who doesn't need to be trained to respect, who values masculine strength instead of trying to destroy it. A beta man negotiates boundaries. An alpha man imposes them. A weak man asks for respect. A strong man commands it. A submissive man accepts betrayal. A man of value makes it impossible. The recurrence of betrayal is high without behavioral change. Statistics prove it. 68% cheat again. Why? Because you didn't change. You forgave, forgot, pretended you got over it. But you didn't establish a new framework. You didn't create a new environment. You didn't become a new man. You are getting older. The clock is ticking. Every day is wasted. You have one life, only one, and you're throwing it away. Out of fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of not finding another. Fear of admitting failure. Fear of starting over. Each fear is a chain you put on yourself. And she sees these chains. She knows you're not going anywhere, that she can do whatever she wants, that you are a prisoner of your own fear. There are two types of men reading this right now. Those who will continue to be idiots, rationalizing, finding excuses, saying, "My case is different." These will suffer again, and again, and again, until nothing is left but bitterness and wasted time. And there are those who will wake up, today, now, who will look in the mirror and admit, "I allowed this, I created this environment, I failed to protect myself," but never again. Those who wake up will go through a painful transformation. They will lose some friends who preferred them weak. They will face resistance from their own family who are used to them being doormats. They will question everything they believed about love and relationships. But on the other side of this pain is freedom, strength, the self-respect that was stolen. Which one are you? The truth is, you already know. Deep down in the place you're afraid to look, you know exactly which category you belong to. You know if you have the courage to change, or if you will continue in the same pathetic cycle. You know if you are a real man or just another grown boy begging for love. Let me tell you one last story. Mark, 42, a doctor, went through 3 betrayals, 3 different women, 3 humiliations. After the third, something broke. Not in him. The veil. The illusion. He finally saw the pattern. It wasn't them. It was him. He chose the same type. He created the same environment. He repeated the same mistakes. Mark spent 6 months alone. No dating apps, no dates, no women, just him and the mirror. Therapy, gym, reading, development, building. When he finally got back in the game, he was a different man. Crystal clear boundaries, unshakable self-worth, zero tolerance for disrespect. You know what happened? The same women who would have used and discarded him before now respected him. Some even feared him, because he emanated something he didn't have before, self-power. She betrayed you because you allowed it. Not the act itself, but the environment, the failed tests, the absent boundaries, the non-existent respect. You created the perfect battlefield for your own defeat. But now you know. Now you have the weapons. Now you have the strategy. The question is, do you have the courage? Do you have the strength to be the man who will never be betrayed again? Not because you blindly trust, but because you created a reality where betrayal is unthinkable, where your boundaries are insurmountable walls, where your worth is non-negotiable. Or will you go back to her, accept the excuses, pretend it will get better, live in paranoia and fear for the rest of your days? You have one life, one single life, and every day you spend being an idiot is a day stolen from the man you could be, the man who commands respect, the man who sets the terms, the man who never ever, under any circumstances, is caught by surprise again. That man is inside you, buried under layers of social conditioning, fear of loneliness and desperate need for female validation. But he is there, waiting for you to have the courage to let him emerge, waiting for you to stop being an idiot. Her betrayal was a gift, not the act, the revelation, the brutal exposure of who you really were, weak, without boundaries, without strategy, without self-worth. She showed you this, cruelly, but she showed you. Now you can continue being this pathetic version of yourself, or you can use this pain as fuel, as fire that burns the weak boy and forges the strong man. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's a process, daily, painful. You will fail. You will give in moments of weakness. You will question if it's worth it. In those moments, remember the humiliation, the disrespect, the pain. Use it as fuel, as a reminder of what happens when you are weak. But let's be honest, you will probably choose to remain weak. You will read this, feel a moment of empowerment, and then go back to the same patterns, the same weaknesses, the same mistakes, because real change requires courage that you don't have yet. But maybe, just maybe, this time is different. Maybe the pain is enough. Maybe the humiliation is unbearable. Maybe you are finally ready to stop being the victim of your own story. If you've made it this far, if you've read every word, if you've felt every truth cutting through your denial, then maybe you are one of the rare ones, one of those who truly wakes up, one of those who transforms betrayal into transformation. The choice has always been yours. It always will be yours. Every day is a choice to be an idiot or to be a man, to be a victim or to be a winner, to be weak or to be strong. What was the first red flag you ignored? It's burning in your mind right now. That moment where your instinct screamed and you silenced it, where you saw the truth and chose the comfortable lie. Maybe it was when she said her ex is just a friend, but avoided talking about him, or when she had those work meetings that always ended in drinks, or when the phone rang late at night and she didn't answer. It in front of you. You knew. Your body knew. That tightness in your chest, the knot in your stomach, the voice in your head saying, something is wrong. But you chose the comfort of ignorance instead of the pain of truth. What boundary should you have set? You know that one too. The moment where you should have said no, where you should have walked away, where you should have imposed consequences. Was it when she cancelled your plans for the third time to go out with her friends? When she laughed at your dream in front of others? When she compared you to her ex? Every moment was a wasted opportunity, a chance to show strength that you let slip away. And she catalogued every weakness, every concession, every moment where you chose to be less than you should be. You know all of this. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Because knowledge without action is just intellectual torture. It's knowing you're in a cell and choosing not to use the key in your pocket. It's like John, 38, a teacher. He read all the books, watched all the videos, knows all, the theory, can explain exactly how relationships work, where he went wrong, what he should do. But he's been in the same toxic relationship for 5 years, continues to accept the same humiliations, continues to be the same doormat, because knowing and doing are different universes. And John chooses the comfort of the known instead of the risk of growth. She knows exactly what she's doing, always has. And now you know too. The difference is that now you can do something about it. You can become the kind of man who never again allows this environment, who never again fails the tests, who never again negotiates his worth. Or you can close this video and go back to your mediocre life, go back to the same toxic relationship, or find another one exactly like it, because you attract what you are. And if you are weak, you attract predators. This is the final truth no one tells you. You weren't unlucky. You were predictable. She saw in you exactly what every woman who betrayed you saw, an easy victim. Someone without boundaries, without consequences, without self-worth. But that can change. Today, now, this very moment. If you have the courage, if you have the strength, if you choose to never be an idiot again, change begins with a decision, a single decision. Small, simple, but definitive. The decision to no longer accept the unacceptable, to no longer negotiate the non-negotiable, to no longer give in on what is fundamental. It can be something small, not replying to her next message immediately, saying no to the next absurd request, walking away from the next disrespectful situation. Small, but definitive. The first step in the direction of the man you should be. The choice is yours. Always has been. Always will be. The choice is yours.